Hello and welcome back to the Gemma and Rach Let's Chat podcast and to the third episode in our 4-part series digging deep into the science behind the 1-to-1 Diet by Cambridge Weight Plan and explaining to you why there are all the different steps and why you should follow them. Now, you may see the title of this episode and want to skip past, but this episode, if you listen and follow what we say, will be the difference between you maintaining that weight loss long term and just going back into that vicious yo-yo dieting cycle. So if you want to know the secrets to how to keep your weight off, how to have success with this plan, then this is the episode for you. So you know the deal. Pop on your headphones, link up the Bluetooth, grab a brew and a notepad and pen, and let's chat. Gem, this is the part of the plan that I know we are so passionate about, and that so often, so many clients that come to me will say, I didn't go through the steps. I didn't do that part of the plan. We kind of know steps 1, 2, 3, and it's almost as though when people lose weight then with those steps, they fall off a cliff.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that there's 6 steps in total. I've had people come to me, don't even know about steps 2 or 3. You know, they've only ever known 3 to 4 products a day, and that's it. So we are here to teach you differently.
That's it. And I think this is the reason why the plan perhaps gets the reputation that it has that's negative in it, that it's a crash diet, you can't maintain the weight loss, you'll just put the weight back on, because people see that weight loss phase and perhaps, one, don't understand the actual science behind the weight loss element of the plan. If you haven't, make sure to catch up on the other 2 episodes. But they certainly have not taken the time to understand the latter parts of the plan. And when we recorded that first episode, we said to you that you can almost break this plan into different areas. Like each, you know, there's 6 steps that we can kind of categorize those into, like weight loss phase, stabilization and reverse dieting phase, and then what long-term maintenance looks like. Now, we've covered kind of the weight loss phase of the plan. And this is all about stabilization and reverse dieting out of the deficit. Because the one thing that a lot of people say to us, Gem, is, I can never maintain that long term, as in having 800 calories a day. And it's like, no, neither can I.
You don't need to. Yeah.
I don't
but
want
I think they do think that is one of the biggest misconceptions is, if I'm on 800 calories for a period of time, I'm never going to be able to eat more than 800 calories again without gaining weight. And we're here to tell you that it's not like that. But you know, you have to, it is a process. It does take a bit of time to work your way back up. And I think a lot of people don't want to put in that extra time because they're already at their goal. So they're happy now and they think they're cured and that's it. And they just eat healthily. But we know that's never going to happen. And also your body is complacent down there. You're going to have to build it back up to be able to have a normal balanced diet and be able to maintain and even eat your maintenance calories without gaining weight. So
that's it. And a lot of people say, like, doing 800 calories, I'm going to damage my metabolism and blah, 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 blah. You will not damage your metabolism on this plan because of the way in which the products are designed. And I know we've talked about this at length, so I'm not going to bore you anymore in this episode, but the proportions of proteins, etc., within those products mean that we keep your body working efficiently. We keep your metabolism working absolutely fine. Now, yes, if like me, you're on the plan for a very long period of time, you know, I did the lower steps for 9-10 months, then yes, that you're going to have to kind of work to get your metabolism back up to not being so efficient. We say my metabolism's broken or my metabolism's really slow. Actually, all it is that your metabolism has become super efficient. It's not getting as much energy in. So it's become very smart at utilizing that energy for like maximum potential. And what we want to do is just get your body to a place where it can take in extra energy and not be so kind of scarce with how it uses it, and be a bit more relaxed with how it's using that energy day to day, so that you can have more energy input without your body looking to kind of ration off or store that energy. And that is where stabilization and reverse dieting is so important. And Gem, I know like you just said it perfectly, like people don't want to put the time in. I feel like sometimes there's hard truths that you need to hear to understand why you're locked in cycles and not wanting, you know, I think we come on plan, we've got a goal weight. We see that as the end. And in reality, it's not. The end is the day you start plan, because that's when you're ending all those negative habits and that negative relationship you have with food. From there on, it is just a continual kind of growth and development when it comes to your relationship with food. if you see your goal weight as the end, I would argue that you're never going to sustain that long term, because you're looking to get to a place where you can almost just go back to how you were before. It's like, let me run to this weight. And then when I get there, I can bin off Gem, can bin off Rach, I can bin off the podcast. I don't have to think about anything then because I've done the weight loss.
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah.
But that is, I think, a lot to do with how we are conditioned with dieting experiences in the past. This is probably the only plan that I know of, and God knows my bingo card's full, where there is a dedicated stabilization phase. There is a dedicated maintenance phase.
That's what I loved the most, because my first question to Debbie was, okay, that's all well and good. You're saying I can lose a stone a month, but how do I keep that off? Because I don't know how to eat. At the moment I'm eating like this and that's got me to this weight. So I don't know how to change that. And she specifically said that's why there's 6 steps. That is the whole point, is to be able to work your way back up to normal eating, but your new normal will be different to your old normal. And I just remember thinking, I have to change everything really about how my routine was, because it just wasn't, I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle at all. So again, you do have to be willing to commit to that and be willing to change long term. You can't just think, I'll do the 6 steps and then I can still go back to normal. Because I think you could assume, well, if I do this reverse diet, they're saying I can maintain. Yay. You still have to change after that as well.
That's it. And I think that it doesn't have to be a scary, daunting thing, right? Because sometimes
it's a positive thing. I really liked thinking that I could change.
Because sometimes I think what we can do in those situations, we think I need to change how I'm eating long term, and all we vision is deprivation and restriction. That is categorically not what we're here. I mean, if you've seen either of our What I Eat in a Days, our holiday vlogs, like anything like that, you know that is not what we're about at all.
I love food. Still.
Yeah, I love food. And actually, the beauty of doing the stabilization reverse dieting portion of this plan is that your relationship with food is going to be so much better. You're going to be able to enjoy food so much more, and you're going to be able to work on the behavioural aspect with food that's going to mean that going forward long term, it's not a constant that you're having to think about in your mind. You're not constantly having to diet, you're not constantly having to restrict. And because you have that one-to-one support with a consultant, they can tailor that for what it looks like for you. I genuinely don't think any of my girls in maintenance have got the same maintenance plan.
No, they haven't.
We work together to figure out, okay, what's your lifestyle look like? What do you enjoy doing? Some exercise, some don't. Some work away a lot, some don't. Some have really active social lives, some don't. So it's the beauty of the plan is that we're not even just saying, right, here's a carbon copy of how you have to eat for the rest of your life. We're going, follow what I say for this period. And then it's all about us tailoring it to you and making it work for you. It doesn't have to be restrictive. And again, going back to the science of the plan, because we really wanted this series to explain not just our thoughts on it, but actually why it is set out the way it is set out and why consultants interpret it and implement it in the ways that we do. The lower steps that are designed for weight loss are not going to instill that long-term behavior change with how you interact with food. So the lower steps are going to help from a perspective that you're going to have to find other coping skills if you're an emotional eater, because we've taken away food. You're going to get rid of maybe that reliance on sugars or high fat foods that you had before. And it sets the bedrock for when we then go through stabilization and reverse dieting, for us then to really look at behavior change when it comes to how you interact with food, because you haven't had to interact with food really on those lower steps, maybe slightly with step 3, where it starts that process of portion sizes. How
that's the start, isn't it? I feel like that's the basis of the maintenance.
Your first kind of step into you having more control when it comes to food and kind of figuring out how that relationship goes. Think of stabilization and reverse dieting phase like dating someone new, right? You've broken up with that really toxic ex, which was your past relationship with food. Now we're starting to date somebody new. We don't want to rush into it. We don't want to commit too quickly or move in together too quickly. So we're taking our time with it. We've had that single life. We've enjoyed our independence. We've enjoyed being able to do our own thing. And there are going to be things you want to protect with that. And so when you are going into stabilization and maintenance, I would really encourage you to write down the things that have changed in your relationship with food, in your mind, that are key things you want to protect. Because your weight loss goals won't necessarily drive you in this bit because you've done your weight loss. So it is important to sit down and really reflect on, okay, what has plan given me to this point that I am really grateful for, that I really enjoy? You know, I don't have food noise constantly. I'm not going to sugar constantly, all of those things. And then you can build out what your goals for maintenance are from those things to make sure that I protect it, you know, and being completely truthful. I've obviously talked about the fact that I'm back on plan because I've, you know, go and check out my video on my Instagram if you want to know why. But I think a lot of that was, you know, the years past in maintenance, and actually those things that I really wanted to protect and value just got lost in the background a little bit. They weren't at the forefront of my mind.
Well, life changes as well, doesn't it? You know, stresses change and things change, and it is hard. Nobody's perfect. And this happens a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of when you just said about the, you know, not craving sugar anymore and not going for sugar, I feel like that was my thing. I was so addicted to sugar. I don't really have that much. I don't really like sweet stuff as much anymore. I think because I haven't had it, and I like that feeling of calm. I really notice the spikes that I get with the sugar. And I feel like that's one of the biggest changes for me. I just feel so much better without. I actually had one of my clients the other day said to me she's really scared about maintenance because she's scared she's never going to be able to eat the things that she really, really loves. And she said to me, like, for instance, like I used to have a whole pot of hummus, and I looked the other day to see how many calories was in it, and it was like 700 calories. I said, of course you can still have hummus. You just don't eat the whole pot. You know, even half, we change it half a pot. Like, that's why she was like, oh, so I can't eat it again. I was like, 100%. I think that's the scary thing, isn't it? Thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to have pizza again. Or for me, it was, oh, I'm not going to be able to drink Prosecco again. Why did it do that?
I don't know. That's quite cute.
Yeah. I'm never going to be able to have Prosecco or pizza or like takeaways or anything like that. But actually, the longer you're in maintenance and you start to learn how it's more about how you feel. And I started to notice my energy levels were different and dependent on what I was eating. And I subconsciously just started making better choices. So I knew I would feel better. Because when you felt really good on plan as well, you kind of miss that feeling, don't you? That buzz of having energy and not feeling really hungry all the time. So, yeah, but it takes a very long time. You know, the purpose of steps 3, 4, 5 and 6 are you don't know it overnight. You don't learn. I think people just assume, oh, I've done step 3 for 2 weeks. That's it. I'm done. It takes a long time to learn. You have to go out and navigate menus. You have to go out and make different choices to know how that feels afterwards.
Yeah, 100%.
And, you know, I'm still doing that now.
You're more in tune with your body, I think, because you've gone that period of time where things have been so stable in your body and you felt so good that actually you do notice when you then have something, perhaps how that makes you feel. And so I feel like you're more in tune to be like, oh, it was nice, but actually it wasn't worth how I felt. And that the best analogy for this is like drinking alcohol. Now, I don't drink anymore for this very reason, in that my hangovers were awful, and like I couldn't handle my drink. I drank too much. I could not responsibly drink. And so I just drank so much, and then I'd have really bad hangovers. And it was like, it's not worth feeling like that. Yes, I like to drink. Yes, I like to have a drink when we were at events. But actually, when I then did them sober, I was like, I so prefer this. Like,
you still liked it,
prefer how I feel. And it's the same with food. Like, you could go out for a meal out somewhere and you could go all in, like absolutely live your best life in the all you can eat buffet. And then you've got your food hangover and you're like, actually, that's not worth how I feel. So there can be changes that you make during this period, which are changes but aren't a bad thing. And when I said you enjoy food more, what I meant by that is if I go to a restaurant now, I won't just go and eat whatever. I will take my time to look at the menu and be like, what do I actually want? Like, what do I really want? If I'm going out for food, if I'm paying someone to make me a meal, I'm having something I'm not going to have at home, and I'm going to have something I really, really want. Best believe I'm having something off that dessert menu, 1,000,000%. Because
I would rather have a starter.
I know, but it's so funny when we go out to eat. Like, I notice you and Nat will always order starters, and then there's me at the end, like,
you're like, menu. I'll save that,
save that. And it's things like if I am going out to eat somewhere and there's like chips on a meal, I don't typically get them. I'm like, oh, can I not get the chips, but can I add in like extra broccoli or veg or whatever? And that's not because I'm being like holier than thou. It's because I want the double chocolate
You're
fudge brownie.
saving.
And like,
Yeah.
and so in my head, I'm like, why would I waste 400 calories on chips when I can
Yeah.
use that and have my pudding? So,
but again, that learning's come from those steps, hasn't it? Learning to calorie
yes,
count, learning to track, learning, how
learning
to
what I
compromise.
like.
Yeah.
Because I honestly feel like when I started Plan, everyone thinks I love food, right? When you start Plan, everyone's like, I'm such a foodie. I just love food. And
Yeah.
then you realize that you may love food, but actually you haven't been loving it. You've been abusing it, or you've been just eating anything and everything in sight. And actually, when it's been removed and then you go back into this world of finding foods again, you may be surprised at the things that you're actually like, I really enjoy that. Or like, that's something I didn't think I would like. And how you eat might change. So for us, for example, we decided, you know what, I would rather pay a little bit more for things that we're going to buy and really enjoy them. And actually the food bill isn't any different because the sheer quantity we used to buy versus what we buy now, but maybe at a better quality, or, you know, actually treating ourselves to foods we really like.
Yeah.
It balances out because, like I said, we're not buying all the crap or all the takeaways and everything like that.
And you're not as hungry. You
No.
don't crave food all day when you're eating sort of healthier options or better quality options. I feel like I eat less, but it is more. That is the really upsetting thing is, to eat a healthy meal. Like I've always looked, if I go to a shop, you can get 2 pizzas for £1, a packet of frozen chips for £1, a tub of ice creams on offer. You try and get, your low fat mince or your chicken breasts and it's really expensive, which is just so wrong, isn't it?
It is. And it's like, oh God, we should do a whole episode on like the diet industry and all the rest
It's
of
all
it.
the addictive stuff is cheap, if you notice, because you want to buy more and more.
And they want you to, like, they're not
Yeah, of
daft.
course they do. It's at the front. It's at the front, isn't it? Prosecco, 3 bottles
Yeah.
for a fiver, or like the chocolate bars are all on offer right next to the till.
That's it. And there's this like scarcity model that's put out there, so you feel like, oh, if I don't get it now, then I'm going to miss out on that deal, or I'm going to whatever. And I think part of it as well is just understanding like they are there to make you spend money. And so if you were to actually go to a shop and buy the things that you wanted, so for us, everyone knows I like my pre-prepared meals. I like my M&S pre-prepared meals because it works for us and our family. And so I will spend more to get a really good quality. Maybe we'll get like a Cook Kitchen, the little farm shop up the road from us sells like the Cook Kitchen meals, brilliant quality meals, fantastic meals. But yes, you're probably spending a bit more. I'm probably spending like £7 for a 2-person portion rather than a meal in the shop, which may only be like maybe a £4, a fiver. But the quality is so much better. It tastes amazing. And actually, if I look at it over the course of all of my shop, it balances out. Because again, for me, I'm not going to be standing preparing food. So all of that, all those ingredients I've bought with the best intentions, but never get used to get chucked out, they've not been wasted. So it works out in the long run. But I would never know what works for us or how's best for us to eat if I hadn't have gone through this process and I hadn't had you there to be like, is this okay? Like, I've always been told that the worst thing you could do is eat like a ready meal. Like, that's like the worst thing I could do in my life. And then you were like, well, it just depends when you're eating. Like, look at
how you're eating before as well. I think at least you're learning calories at this point as well. And I think step 3, 4, and 5 don't have to be perfect. You're still learning what you're going to like, what you can get for your calories. I was just talking to a lady this morning. She said, should I cut out carbs on step 3? I was like, not if you don't want to. Like, if you want carbohydrate, they're your calories, your choice. I say that all the time. But if you look in the steps, because I don't know if you get a lot of questions about the traffic light system in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there as a guide, isn't it? I mean, you're going to get more for your calories if you go for the green options.
That's what it's trying to teach. And funny enough, I was speaking to one of my clients about this last night, and I was like, look, when Dr. Howard created this plan back in the late 70s, before it was obviously kind of put out in the mid 80s, there was he's a scientist. So he looked at, how do I get this human body to lose weight, and how could I influence that human mind in a way? It was very, not that it wasn't personable, but they're scientists, they're medics, they're looking at things from a very black and white scientific perspective. So he designed this plan, he designed the steps, all with taking into consideration, we want good weight loss and I want people to be able to maintain it. How do we change their behaviors kind of thing? Now, as the years went on, as the plan has gone out to the masses and it's been able to be put out there to, you listening to this podcast now, me, Jem, everyone wants to do it. Of course, over the years, there has been recommendations brought in and, there's been a framework given that people can use when it comes to going through the steps and how they use their calories in maintenance. But this is why your consultant is so vital, because if you're somebody who perhaps has got like a messy relationship with dieting in the past, your relationship with food hasn't been great, that can get very complicated. You can start overthinking what meals you're having. You can start overthinking how you're putting stuff together. Or you can just go, that's never going to work for me. I'm never going to be able to do that. It's just a framework. As long as you're following the actual foundations of the plan that are going to get your results, then it is between you and your consultant to figure out what way you best apply the framework of the steps to your day-to-day life. And I don't mean that as in messing about with steps and products and all that, but I mean what I do with that calorie allowance through different steps. And it may be, like you were just saying, Jem, about do I go low carb? My advice for two people on that question, I don't know about you, would be completely different, because it would depend, are you diabetic? Do you have any endocrine issues? Have you got PCOS? Have you got any issues with your insulin resistance when it comes to digesting and processing?
But I don't know if you hear, though, a lot of times people say, oh, I'm really sensitive to carbs. But are they? Are they really? Do you know what I mean? I think it's just that whole no carbs before marbs. People think you should cut out carbs. You don't need to. But unless, obviously, you are sensitive to them.
Or are you sensitive to actually being able to eat the right carbs, or being able
or overeating? If you're overeating on the carbs, that's different.
And let's be honest, like a lot of us have got experience with a well-known plan that we will not name on the podcast. However, they do very much promote eat as much as you want when it comes to carbohydrates. Now, if you're somebody that struggles with portion size or emotional eating or, impulse control, you've probably done that plan and you have probably taken the piss out of it, like I did.
That was me.
So, so when you then think about carbs, there can be this negative association of like, but I can't control myself around carbs, or I don't lose weight, or I put weight on, or whatever. But actually, done in the right way, you don't. And again, that's what consultants are there for. So, for example, you may be having a curry one night. Brilliant. Have half your rice, put half cauliflower rice in. Boom, bam, sorted.
More for your calories.
Exactly. Maybe you're having chips one night. Fab. Either make your own, or I can give you many a recommendation on a pre-prepared frozen chip that is going to be good for you, that's like low fat, pure ingredients, literally potatoes, bit of oil, that's it. And that is not going to be bad. What I will do is I'll measure out my portion. I'll make sure I'm not going too wild on it. And I always kind of followed the plate rule of a quarter of my plate was my protein, a quarter of my plate was my carbohydrates, and then half of my plate was like my veg, my salad.
I still do that.
And that's that is kind of, because long term, I'm not, me, counting calories does stress me out. It overwhelms me. So I will do it through the steps, but then.
But now you know roughly what your calorie intake is. Same as me. I don't have to track it all the time now.
What it should look like. And again, that's so important that you have somebody to help you out with that, but also to look at what you like. How does your family eat? What's your family setup with food? Like, to help you build it out. So again, it can feel very overwhelming in the beginning because we have this expectation that I'm going to lose the weight and then I'm on my own. But it isn't at all. Like, it is very much, we hold your hand through that process. Now, Jem has in the past given what could quite possibly be the best explanation of like stabilization and reverse dieting. And
that video.
It's brilliant. And I will link it in the show notes so people can go and watch it. But in case people haven't got time, or quite frankly don't want to, go and watch more of us talking, give us your explanation. If somebody comes to you, I'm a client, and I say, I don't really get how I maintain this weight or what these other steps are. What is the Gemma Rennick explanation?
That is the question that I get. How do I move up the steps? Do you tell me when I move up the steps? Do I choose when I move up the steps? So my answer is the majority of my clients do tend to lose weight on the lower steps. It's just seems to be the most common way that people want to lose weight, on either steps 1 or 2. Step 3 is becoming a little bit more popular now because people are wanting to exercise more, which is brilliant. But if you're losing your weight on the lower steps, I wouldn't suggest moving up the steps until you're pretty much roughly where you want to be. Because what I don't want to happen is people moving up sooner than they should because they want to eat more food, but they still want to lose weight. So then they're maybe disappointed with the slower losses. So I tend to move people up when they're around their goal weight. And the process is very simple. It's like a stepping stone, like sort of process where I would move you up to say we're going from step 3 to step 4. I would move you up to step 4. I always try and let my clients know that to expect that they probably won't lose, the first week. There won't be necessarily a weight loss. And straight away in your mind, you think, I'm never going to be able to eat more than 1,200 calories because I haven't lost this week. Mm-hmm. Give it time. The stabilization process does take 1 to 3 weeks normally from experience. So you tend to stabilize for a couple of weeks and then your body gets used to those calories. And we know that it's caught up with those calories because you tend to see a little loss. So when you see a little loss, we move you up again. So that's the stepping stone process. And the same happens again. You tend to maintain for a week or 2. Some people even get a little gain, whilst their body's adjusting. And then as soon as you see a little loss, we'll move you up again. I think the only problem with that is when you get to step 5, you're on about 1,500 calories by that point and you're having one product a day. It's then between you and your consultant to see where you're going to go from there on, because your maintenance calories will be different to the next person. We've said this before, depending on activity, lifestyle, medical, all of that. So I tend to introduce 100 to 200 calories a week or every 2 weeks just to kind of find where they feel comfortable. And for me personally, I chose to look at my maintenance calories in a bit of a different way. Mine was 1,800. I chose to have less Monday to Friday once I'd got up to that point, and a little bit more at the weekends because I still really enjoy those social events with my friends and I wanted to have those guilt free, but I knew I had to compromise somewhere. So I brought my calories down in the week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is a simple stepping stone like process up the steps, and you have to make sure that you don't go up too quickly. You can only really move up when you've seen that little loss, so you've caught up with those, and that's it. And I don't think anyone ever looks at those steps like that. Ever. It's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is a case of like you say, we're just going to go up. We're going to bring calories up a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit.
We're going to wait to see what your body does. Like you said, there is that kind of maybe week 1, week 2 way, but there's a bit of a gain or a maintain. We expect that. We expect your body to do that. It's not a case that my body is laying down fat. But you've got to think there's going to be more food in your bowels. There's going to be more water within your GI tract. There's going to be potentially like a little bit of inflammation if you've had food that maybe you haven't had in a while. So that is completely normal. But people may panic. And the key is to trust the process, which is so cliche to say, but trust
it's so true
process. Though. Trust your consultant. Like, we know what we're doing. We've experienced it firsthand. We've experienced it with other clients we've worked with. But go through it. And like you say, I'm the same. I find 1 to 3 weeks is typically how long we stay on a calorie allowance before we then move up. And you can do it in different ways as well. If I have clients that perhaps have had a very big weight loss journey, perhaps have had a very complex relationship with food in the past, then I may even bring that down to 100 calories a week that we go up to make it so so not overwhelming.
Yeah, it's just one extra snack, isn't it? Or a little bit of extra something on your dinner. It's easier to adjust.
It's easy. And then you may get to a point, and I see it sometimes where clients say, I just can't eat anymore. And they're maybe on like 1,400 calories a day. And you're like, 1,400 calories a day is not your maintenance calories. Like, I know what you might believe because of the 90s and 2000s, but let me tell you, like, that is not your maintenance calories. And if you stay here too long, it will be. You're going to have to work again to continue to reverse diet up. And so that's when, again, as a consultant, you can work with your client and say, okay, I know the volume perhaps of food now is feeling uncomfortable or it's too much. So let's be smart and look at what we do. Let's switch out your fat-free Greek yogurt for just normal Greek yogurt. Let's bring in some nuts as a snack, or have some peanut butter on your porridge, or have a bit of like, whatever in this or
avocado.
Yeah,
that's high. That's high in calories.
With your toast and your eggs. But it's about, we can then look at not just your calories. And we've talked about this quite a lot in this series, of that in the beginning, we don't have to worry about anything else because the products are giving us everything that we need. But as we go through and we're going through that latter stages of stabilization and reverse dieting, that is when we may be like, right, what good fats are we getting in? What proteins are we having? Like, are we picking the right carbs for us? Not based off some ardumentary rule that's written down, but actually based on how you feel and those things. Like you said, Jem, is it actually that during the week I don't need to be up at 1800 calories, but at the weekends I really want to go to out with the friends and have a drink, or
I want to eat what I want,
or whatever it might be. And that was kind of how me did maintenance, is we would have maybe a little bit less during the week, but we'd have our tin can on a Friday night. I was like,
and again, that's personal choice, isn't it? You like having your takeaway at the weekends. I like going out with friends, and but you know what? Everything you just said, that is the beauty of having a consultant. You've got someone there all the time to ask. That's what we're here for. And it will be different for each person. Use that support. And if there's ever any question or worry, just ask, because 9 times out of 10, there's been a lot of other people with exactly the same question and exactly the same worry. Oh, sorry, that's my dishwasher.
It's all right. It's fine.
But yeah, I feel like I learnt the most from, steps 3, 4 and 5. And I really learnt about types of food that I wanted to eat, that I enjoyed eating. And I was the same, I got to a point where I got a bit full and it was like, oh, I can't imagine eating more than this. And I'm only on, like you said, 1400 calories. It's not enough. So you'll probably see, that's why I wanted to do my blogs on YouTube, to show the types of foods that I eat, just for an idea. It's not, you don't have to make the carbon copy of what I've had and eat exactly like I do, but I do have a lot of positive feedback from those blogs, because it gives people the confidence, I can eat a bagel for lunch, or I can have a wrap, or rice and pasta with my dinner, sweet potato, whatever you like. I love all of that as well. And I just incorporated it in. We have said this before, my diet's probably changed over the last 11 years quite a lot, because again, I've learned to evolve and change and not be as scared of certain things. And, I love cheese. I love avocado, and all of those things are quite scary for people because they're high in fat and they're high in calories, but you need calories, you need good fats as well.
That's it. And it is a process. You do have to learn to trust yourself, back to the
and try new
analogy.
Things.
Like if you've been burnt in the past, like you're probably not going to be as trusting or as open straight away. And actually you do need to build that up with yourself, but you can do it. And yes, it's a different phase. I don't think you should look at it like you're like, I'm still on plan or anything like that, because actually it is completely different. We're learning new things. We're kind of using what we've learned within the lower steps, and we are now applying it into something new. So, it definitely is like leveling up, but it still takes time, dedication, accountability. It takes those things. And, it may be that it takes you 2 to 3 months to get to that place of being at your kind of new normal, if you like. But not giving it that 2 or 3 months and not working with your consultant means that the likelihood is in 12 to 18 months, you're going to be knocking on our door again saying,
you'll be back on step 1 again.
And do you know what? If I hadn't have done those steps and I hadn't have followed this process, I know that I've gone back on plan for a little bit, but I would be 22 stone again. Like, I regained about 15% of my overall weight loss, which is nothing really over the course of like 3 going on into 4 years. So that would not have been the case though if I hadn't have done what I did with the steps.
Well, you know that because you came to me, didn't you? You'd lost weight to get pregnant with Poppy, put all the weight back on, came back, and some. And you hear that, don't you? Oh, you put all the weight on and some. And it's like, yeah, you probably will. If you do step 1, and like we say all the time, that's why the plan can get that sort of stigma behind it. And, people don't necessarily trust it because all they've ever seen or know is people that do step 1 go back to eating how they did before, do step 1 again. And we always say that, don't we? People are really good at losing weight. It's quite easy to lose weight when you've got your mindset in the right place, but they also know how to gain weight, but there's never been any sort of middle ground. And that's exactly what we're trying to show you.
It's a process. You have to learn it. And, what I would say as well is if you are on one of the lower steps, And why that interaction with your consultant throughout is so, so important, because sometimes your consultant will see signs in you that say it's time for you to step up.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're chasing a number, but actually we can see your body's not going to get you there. Like you're going to have to, like, you're going to damage everything you've worked so hard for mentally now by pushing for this weight that's just too low for you at this point in life. Like, so it's so important that you are engaged throughout that whole process, because then we're able to say, I think now is the time that we start moving up. I feel like you're not getting enough calories. I had it on plan. I was on 1B, and over the course of like 6 weeks, I didn't lose more than £1 a week.
I remember.
Insane. And then Gem said to me, Rach, you need to go up to step 3 now. Like your body is showing all the signs. You need to do it. Went up step 3, lost £4 in that first week.
I know.
Like, so there's going to be times as well where your consultant is going to give you advice and you just have to trust it. You've trusted them this far.
Don't fight it.
Don't fight it. Don't let that ego tell you know better or anything like that. You need to just trust the process and work through it, because if I hadn't have listened to Gem then, I probably would have got so frustrated and disillusioned with what I was doing. I would have just gone sod it and ended up on that slippery slope back to regaining all of that weight. But I just kind of gave it over to her with a lot of anxious voice notes, a lot of really anxious,
I remember,
a lot of anxious messages. Like, I think if you went back and watched my weekly updates then, I'm probably a little bit of an anxious mess. But
do you know what? That's so common though. That's always the fear. Going from step 1 to step 3, Stacey did the same. We still talk about it now, that she had the pitta gate. She was so scared to eat the pitta bread. I was like, it's fine, Stace, honestly. But you have to trust that process. You do. Trust your consultant.
You have to 100%. And it's not because we're here being like, it's not that we know better, because I always say that actually knowledge is not what helps in this. We all have knowledge. We all have knowledge on what we should eat, how we should maintain it, all of that. What we don't have is the connection to application and actually how do I apply this in a way that works for me and my lifestyle and my emotional dependencies or issues that I have with food. That is what your consultant is. They are the missing link between knowledge and kind of, I know what I need to do, but how do I apply it every single day? And especially in this stabilization and reverse dieting phase, because I would put money on the fact that 99% of people that come to us have never, ever done that part of a weight loss plan in their lives. And when we tell you it is the secret, we aren't joking. It really is the secret.
Yeah.
That feels like a really nice place to round off this week's episode. I really hope that has helped. I hope it's inspired you, if you are on your weight loss journey, to know what you are doing is going to last long term, that you can do this, that this is the plan that you need in order to lose weight and keep it off long term and rebuild those relationships with food. Gem has done loads of brilliant What I Eat in a Days and vlogs on her YouTube channel, so I will link that in the show notes, along with, as always, our socials and also information on how you can connect with either of us if you would like to come on plan with us, or if you'd like to go to the main website and search for a consultant in your local area. Please do like, comment, share. I know it's always beggy at the end of these episodes, but you'll never know how much it helps and how much it means for us to see that kind of interaction and know that it's helping. We get so many messages from people saying that this helps, which is lovely, but it would also really help us if you'd leave that as a comment and like let other people see. Please, thank you. And, you know, turn on those notifications so that you get notified when we release a new episode. We will have the last of this series coming out very soon, where we will be talking all about how things work after dieting. What is life after dieting like? What does it look like? How does your consultant continue to support you? And all the rest of it. So that, like I said, if you are starting this plan, you can do it in the confidence that this plan will help you both lose weight, rechange your relationship with food, and maintain it long term. But for now, it is goodbye from me.
And bye from me.
And we will speak to you all again really, really soon.